My name is Miro Parizek. I'm the Managing Director of Corum Group International. I'll briefly introduce who Corum Group is. Today I will be talking about trade sales and how that's a normal part of a company's growth cycle. Last week I was in Brussels speaking about a trade sale is our term for exiting or selling your company. It's a trade sale versus a recapitalization or a public listing. How many people here have sold their own software, IT services, or internet company for over, let's start at 10 million euros? Okay. I don't know. I didn't see any in the statistics, but I might have missed something. How about over 5 million euros? Has anybody sold a software, IT services, or internet company here in this room? Okay, so somewhere between 0 and 5 million, okay? They have been under our radar if it's happened in the last 6 months. I mean, I became Managing Director of Corum Group about a year ago. Before that I was focusing on my own deals, and my perspective has gone a little bit broader. We had actually taken on a project in Poland about 3 years ago. It was a IT services company that was doing less than 10 million, about 7-8 million euros in revenues. And we thought that that would be large enough to interest Western European IT service players to expand into Central Eastern European region. It turned out that the players that were interested in this space were the Accentures, etc., and that was just much too small. So we have a ways to go. Virtually everybody I was meeting seems to have started a company recently. So I know Poland is very entrepreneurial, without a doubt. I know that. People who have started a company, how many have the goal of listing on the Warsaw or some public exchange? Okay. How many have the goal of selling their company? Well, it's about half-half. Interesting. I'm surprised. What about the rest of you, by the way? Maybe you're advisors or lawyers and all sorts of stuff. But is there another strategy? Are you creating a company to run it and then leave a sign on the door, founded in 1998, and then passing it on to your children's children? I learned that when I came to Austria. I would go to a drugstore and on the sign it would be founded in 1895, founded in 1698 or whatever it was, and that of course is not the idea. Not certainly when you're starting a company, and certainly not when you're going to be raising funding. You need to have an exit strategy. An example: iView Limited sold to Microsoft. These are companies that we represented the seller during the sale process. iView is an interesting example because it's a company that did less than 5 million revenue, 5 million euros in revenue. Some people were asking me how big of a company is interesting to sell, or how big of a company is interesting for you to sell, whatever. You do not need to be a massive company. If you have, I can't disclose the revenue size of that company, it's confidential. However, it was basically a small company that had a very important technology that Microsoft needed to integrate into their systems. We have the largest M&A research team that follows software M&A transactions. We track about 1,200 to 1,500 transactions per year. There's a quarterly report. If you're interested in that, send me an email. My email address will be up later. It's Miro P, like my first name and the first initial of my last name, at corumgroup.com. And we'll send you that report. It's worth 295 euros. Just for your information, it's worth plenty of money. I asked what the strategies are of the people here and what they're going to do, and I saw about half and half. Interestingly enough, when I asked the question in Brussels, also only about 20-30% responded, curiously enough. In California, talking about Silicon Valley, if you asked that question and you didn't raise your hand, that would be weird. So I don't know where we are in the development of the market just yet. Recapitalization is when you're running a company that's generating roughly 3, 4, 5 million euros of profit, and you want to remain private, but you want to get more funding to make perhaps additional acquisitions, and or you want to take some of the chips off the table and cash them in. And what I mean by that is you might sell 60, 70, 80% of your shares to a company like Carlyle, speaking of which, or Apex. You keep 10, 20, 30% of the company, and you actually exit again with your partners, your new partners, 3, 4 years down the line, when they triple up or quadruple up their investment. So you end up making lots of money, diversifying your risk, having a war chest to make continued acquisitions, grow global. There was a point that was made earlier this morning, and then exit again. IPO, it's capital for growth. It's not an exit strategy. If you're selling your shares in your company, it's going to be a bad sign to the analyst market, to the investors. You're not going to get as good a valuation, of course, or you may not even be able to float. Mergers and acquisitions is an interesting idea. Only about 5, 10 years ago, I was asking the same question, and people would be at conferences, and very rarely people would raise their hands. Or, in fact, people were concerned in Europe that they would show up at a merger and acquisition workshop, and someone else might see them. There's this issue of, well, what if somebody knows my company is for sale? What if somebody thinks I'm selling my company? What will this mean to my competitors? How will they take advantage of this? What will my customers think? Again, I switch over to the American story. It's sort of the only companies that's not for sale maybe are Microsoft, IBM, and Cisco, and that's about it. Even SAP was for sale, quote-unquote rumors, last year. So and look at the deals that are going on in any other industry. They're tens of billions of dollars. There's no such thing as not being for sale. It's actually bizarre not being for sale. You got to have the right price, that's all. Yeah, if someone pays me the right price, I'm available. The company is available. What does it do for you? It gives you channel immediately. It enables you to see your baby grow up. In essence, I kind of look at it this way. People who found that company and keep it and don't have an exit strategy or are concerned, what happens if I sell it, I lose control of it? I kind of look at it as having children and not letting them go on and do their own thing. I mean, good. So maybe I grew up in America and I have more this ideas and stuff, but I think a serial and entrepreneurial lifestyle or career is a pretty normal career. And a lot of people don't do that. In fact, most of our clients in Europe tend to be 50 to 60 years old who are finally sick and tired of their business and want to get out. You know, and they've been doing it for 10 or 15 years or 20 years. They could have gotten out 10 years earlier, probably with the same valuation, and gone on to the next thing, but it's just not part of the mentality yet, and I think it will change. And it'll change quicker in Poland than it had in Germany.